Hello everybody, welcome to another video. I'm tuning in, of course. Today is Tuesday. Usually I post videos Mondays and Thursdays. So if you're new here, this is Soulish Femme. Soulish Femme is where you actually become authentic and finding the true nature of how God created you to be and who God has called you in this life and the purpose that is given to you. So today's topic is about 4 women out there. Single ladies, married ladies, I don't know how old you are. I really don't know the age group that is watching my video, but if you actually is resonating with what I'm trying to say, then stick around. If not, you can feel free to just exit out of my life. So today is important, ladies, that you need to really find your true identity. I always talk about my true identity on my channel, being authentic, being genuine, very secure about yourself, because if you are not, if somehow a man in your life turns out to be abusive, narcissistic, egoistic, then where do you turn to and what's going to happen to you? Because some women, I have seen this too in my life, we think that a man should make us whole. When you come into a marriage, you should come in as a whole person, because no man in this world is going to make you complete and happy. Yes, they're icing on the cake. However, when life doesn't go the way that you hope it to go, when something disarray, something bad happened in your marriage or any relationship, then what happens is most women are going to crumble and they say, I can't breathe, I can't live without you. Sure, there's going to be heartaches, there's going to be heartbreaks, you're going to feel as if you wish that someone would turn out to be the way that you imagined them to be excuse me. And then eventually their true colors come out, because people change, as I always like to say in my channel, either for the worst or for the best. So number one thing as a woman is that you must really know your security. How do you develop security in yourself? As I said, and I am not going to shy away from it, only knowing in the Creator. That's exactly how you can be secure of who you are. The moment you know who you are, when God said you are fearfully and wonderfully made, you are a royal priesthood, a chosen generation, you are a royalty, then no matter what happens and no matter what the man in your life would say or disrespect you, it doesn't really matter. Because narcissistic people usually will tell you and gaslight you and make you believe that you're not important. They're going to make you feel insignificant or unworthy, because that's exactly what they want you to feel. However, if you're a woman of secure, you know exactly who you are, you know exactly your worth and your value, and your validation does not come from a man, then it doesn't matter. You can still dust off your feet and move on, get dressed, put your hair up, put a makeup on, and just still slay the dragon. So number 2 thing that you can do as a woman is that you must invest in yourself. Self-care is not selfish. It is the way that you self-love yourself. As I always say on my channel as well, and I would like to reiterate, self-care is not selfish. Because at the end of the day, ladies, who's taking care of us? Who's taking care of you? No one does. We run around ragged, taking care to everybody around us, husbands, our wives. Sometimes we think that wives are just a housemaid. We think that wives are supposed to be at the beck and call at every time when people want our attention and they want us to help. We usually like to jump and we like to save the day. However, at the end of the day, we feel so tired, depleted of energy, that sometimes we think that our well-being and our health must take on the sideline, and we just don't take care of ourselves, especially when our relationship is not contributing peace in our lives, especially when the relationship is shaky, on the shaky ground. That is when the time, ladies, that you have to pull back. And that's exactly when the time that you need more love to yourself, taking care of your mind, taking care of your health, taking care of your body by resting. Maybe you need to unplug from anything in this world and go somewhere that's peaceful, at the park, or take yourself on a coffee shop, which I always do, because some people and some women, they are afraid of being alone, which is, why must you be afraid of being alone? You must be your own best friend. You must enjoy your own company, because guess what? You're stuck with yourself. If you still are uncomfortable with yourself being alone, then there's something is wrong within you. If you don't like being alone because you feel as though people are looking at me, I'm by myself, people think that I'm a loner, and people think that I have no friends, or whatever it is, that you're constantly self-conscious, always thinking that people are always watching you. Let me tell you something. I don't care what people say about you. It's your life. It's none of their business. If they perceive you as a loner and you have no friends around you, it just shows you how comfortable you really are with your own skin. You're comfortable with no entourage of cheerleaders showing up for you, because you must love yourself. Because the moment you love yourself, as I said, you no longer want to crave for people's validation or people's approval. Another thing, ladies, you must be inspired. If you have been putting off hobbies, goals, businesses, whatever it may be, you must be your own cheerleader. Because as I said, as a woman, we don't know which spectrum we belong. Unfortunately, it has always been this problem. It's getting better now that we live in this Western culture, but imagine in those days where women were not given a voice. And mind you, there are still countries today that women cannot speak, cannot vote, cannot drive, cannot wear makeup. We are just so fortunate and privileged to live in this country, the United States of America, that women have all these rights. However, some women are still living in the old age where they just said, I am just gonna sit back and do nothing. And the problem with us women, if we have the career to support our family, there are men that are becoming so insecure and says, I am so insecure because she's making more money than I have. So what happens to these men? They become so wallow in self-pity, and it becomes a conflict. It's a struggle. Okay. So a woman, she's never celebrated when she's making enough money. Some men are threatened by that because some men are narcissistic and they're immature in the head. On the other spectrum, we have another man who has a wife, decided to be a stay-at-home mom because this is her season of her life, and he will try to tell her that you are not good enough, you don't bring money on the table, what are you doing with your life? So as I said, as a woman today, we have been targeted ever since the beginning of time. When you look at Genesis, Satan has always been targeting who? The woman, Eve. It wasn't Adam that he went after. It was always the woman. So as you see today, women have always been struggling to be attacked by men that are narcissistic, men that are actually egoistic, that are entitled, spoiled brat, that were not raised properly. Because if you are raised properly by your parents, you would not turn out to be this way. However, when we have a man who is a toddler, a narcissist, who is entitled, who is a grandiose, they think that the world should revolve around them. So that's why, ladies, you must not put aside your dreams and your goals in life. Yes, you can be a stay-at-home mom. Yes, you can have your career. But at the same time, if you want to pursue a business, then you must do so. Because according to, I think it was Lady Gaga, who used this quote that when a career doesn't wake up one day and says, I don't love you anymore. A man, however, is going to wake up Sunday and says, I don't love you anymore, and I found someone else. A man will leave you. It doesn't matter how many years of invested your time and energy, and you think that you love each other, but you'll never know. As I said, men are fickle-minded. Now, let me just get this straight. I'm not saying to hate on men. I am not here to preach to you that we must hate men and we don't need men. We do need men. However, the men that we should met and we should ask for are the men that are godly men, a man who takes accountability, a man that is mature, a man who can regulate their emotions. We must call out those men to step up in the game and to take charge, because we must put the toddlers on the side. We must teach the toddlers and the immature men to be a grown man, because there's so many things today that we see that's been normalizing. Men that cannot take responsibility, who's making a woman pregnant and then he just walk away and leave, and the baby mama suffers, who has to deal with the toddlers and with the baby raising their kids. We've seen a lot of it. Fatherlessness, is one of the problem that we have a lot of things happening in this country because of fatherlessness, lack of accountability of a man. Another thing is men that are still immature love their video games more than they love their wives and their children. They spend more time watching television, being on their cell phone, and watching and playing Dota and playing video games like a teenager, as if they're still in their college years. That's another thing that a woman has to deal with. You would have thought that when a man gets married, he would put aside all of these things and become a man. According to Corinthians, when I was a boy, when I was a child, I spoke like a child, I thought like a child, and I put away childish things. However, when you married a man that is still immature and who has not grown up in the head, they will not willingly put aside their addictions, because narcissists cannot let go of their addictions because they are still trying to numb their wounds that they don't want to deal with. That's another story. This is why when you encounter a man that is still immature, they eventually going to control you. Isn't it amazing how a man that is narcissist wants you to drop everything for them, to put them on the pedestal, to treat them like a king, but then the moment you tell them to do the same thing, they are not willing to do so. So what are you gonna do, ladies? Are you just gonna let him rule over you and says, I am just going to be here and going to let you control your life? You can be a mother, you can be a wife, you can cook, clean, and do the laundry, but for a man that is narcissistic, it's still never enough for them. Because narcissistic men are ungrateful, entitled. As I said, they want you to drop everything for them, to revolve your life around them. But when it comes to shove, when you ask them the same thing, they're unwilling. They're gonna say, I don't think so. So this is why, ladies, you got to be inspired. You have to follow your dreams. As I said, I was not gonna allow my man to tell me you cannot do a YouTube channel. I have started my YouTube, my TikTok. The information is linked below. If you want to follow me on TikTok, I have there too. And find inspirations everywhere. One of the things that I find inspiration is going outside to the mall. I watch people, usually I take notes. And of course, Vogue magazine, ladies and gentlemen. I love magazine ever since I remembered when I was in college. I don't care if I had not enough money, but as long as I had Cosmopolitan, Glamour, Vogue, that was something that it evokes some inspiration out of me. As a content creator, as a person that is creative, we must always be trying to venture out into something that inspires us. So this is why I always just watch, magazines and living in fairy tale. I know this is not reality. People spend too much money on this advertisement. This is like a billboard in a one magazine. However, as a woman, we must find that beauty is everywhere, especially on the days of the toughest days of your life, especially when you feel as though your life is crumbling and your world is turning upside down. Where else can you go? Vogue gives me peace. This is not just a magazine. I think that this is actually a compilation of creative people. They put together their creative genius in one compilation of this magazine. Oops. And this is why you have to find beauty in everywhere you go, because if you're not, this is why so many women, they just give up on themselves. They just show up with no makeup on, or they don't even bother showering or brush their teeth, or they don't even bother with their hair. As I said, ladies, you cannot allow men to just trample you and make you haggard. That's a time that you should double on your self-care. Because that is a secret. Just be like a cat. Do you know what a cat is? Unbothered. When a cat, she shows up whenever she feels like it and she walks away. Unbothered, undisturbed, no matter what's going on. If she's getting pet, she's getting whatever massages, she's okay with it. If she doesn't, the same thing with us ladies. Because it's time to take those men into accountability. We have to call out men that are still toddlers in their head to be a grown man and to step up and to act like a man, because we are lacking of men today who has the audacity to be a man. We have so many toddlers, a grown man's body, but a toddler's head. We have seen it too many times, and it's about time to not normalize this thing, because if you're 40 years old and you still think and talk like a toddler and you cannot regulate your emotions, it shows you how immature you really are. And it's about time that, ladies, we cannot just shut up and put up with it. When a man is abusive, you have to give him an ultimatum, and you have to tell him, if you're not changing, I will have to detach myself. So another thing, ladies, to control your environment and to make your life better with a narcissist is you detach. You learn to detach. What does it look like to detach? Unengaging, maybe minimal. Do things that you love. If you have not worked out yet, it's time for you to start working out again, and maybe go to the gym, and maybe start doing something for yourself, going to a salon, getting your nails done or your hair is done. Okay? This is not to say that you're being vengeful. It's just want you to show them, the man in your life or people in your life, that you need respect. Because as I said, if you don't teach people how you want to be respected or how you want to be treated, they don't know what to stand for you, how they stand with you. So because people that have no accountability, like narcissists, they think that what they're doing is acceptable, so they keep doing it over and over again. But the moment you detach, you're taking the power. You're taking that power away from them, and that you gradually detach from your emotions, that you gradually invest in yourself. Maybe go back to school, read a book, go to a library, go to a park, drive somewhere that you and your children, maybe that you can take them on a day out in the park. I would usually do that with my son. When I have a bad day, big fight with my husband, I would go out to a nice fancy restaurant, because that's exactly what we must do. Look after yourself, as I said, because ladies, no one is looking after us. Nobody. When was the last time your husband asked you, how are you feeling today? Does he ever ask you that question? But why is it for us women, we have to constantly ask them, how are you feeling? How's work? But for them, some men, they don't really care how you feel. They don't care if you had a bad day at work or you something that's matter with you, because some men, as I said, are narcissistic, egoistic, self-delusional. They're selfish and self-absorbed. And this is why we must call out those toddlers and put them in their place, and call them out, because we do not tolerate disrespect and toddler mindset here. This channel is about growth, and if someone in your life is not stepping up to the game and they're not contributing to your happiness, then you must look after yourself, because guess what? No one is going to do that for you. No one is going to love you as much as you should love yourself, because you're the only one who knows what's best for you. And if you're waiting for a man to fill up your tank, you might be waiting around forever, and you'll be disappointed, because as I said, men are just fallible. They are not going to be there for you all the time. And so when you encounter with a man and you live with a man who has a lot of issues with their wounds because they don't want to deal with it, so you're just going to be exhausted and depleted, and you're going to be like, I wish he can just see what I do. I wish he just understands what I'm going through. Honey, a toddler doesn't understand being an adult. If you're dealing with a toddler in your life, how do you expect the toddler to behave? Just look around you. If you have a toddler and you have raised a child, you know exactly that a toddler has no comprehension. They don't understand the complexities of the emotional thing. This is why it's important to develop self-awareness and to develop emotional intelligence. Because at the end of the day, if you know exactly what you're worth and your value, you're not going to let a man to tell you and to disrespect you, because you know exactly your worth and value. A woman must be treated with genuinity, with love and gentleness. Because here's the thing. If a man truly is a good man who knows how to treat a woman right, she is going to naturally abide and obey her. But because when you have a clown in your life and who wants to be a king, what made you think that you're going to follow a clown? Might as well go to a circus. But the problem is, you and I went to a circus. We're not supposed to go to a circus, right? So sometimes we can just say, well, I made a mistake. Maybe I have done the wrong thing of picking this partner or this husband, but it's too late. You have made your bed and you have slept on it. The thing is, what do you do after? Yes, you and I made bad choices. Maybe we have married the wrong person, or we can just beat ourselves up saying, I should have never married this guy. I've never seen the red flags. But you have made a choice. There's no one to blame really but yourself. However, let's just say you have made the wrong choice of marrying the man and he turns out to be an a-hole, lack of better words. What are you going to do then? Instead of playing a victimhood mindset and wallow in self-pity, just do what's best for you. That's exactly how you're going to treat this man from now on. As I always say on my channel, it's about self-development, self-awareness, always knowing what you're worth and your value, because at the end of the day, no one is going to give you too much love and effort. No man is going to come around and says, I will love you. Only few of them. And most of them are either married or either old. Okay? Because right now we see the pandemic of toddlers in a grown man's body, but their head is immature. We have seen all of it. We have seen so many of them that's still entitled, spoiled brat. They're complaining about how much they have to work and how much they have to provide for you. These are princes. These are men that has been pacified at the young age. Usually, they're like a golden child, given to them everything that they need. And then when they become an adult, they complain that their life is so hard. I have to work. I have to provide for my wife. I have to provide for my children. These are princes. And unfortunately, for some women like us, we have married princesses. We did not marry a king, or we married a clown instead of marrying a king. So this is the sadness of some women. I understand. I know, because I know what it feels like. That sometimes you feel as though, is it me? You question yourself. Is it really me? Are my efforts not enough? Because ladies, it doesn't matter how much effort you put into our narcissist. As I said, they are blind. They will never appreciate you. Nothing is good enough for these toddlers. Nothing. Okay? Nothing. For them, what you do is never enough. For them, what you do is not worth it. Because as I said, some men are really nothing but biatches. They act like a biatch. They're more like a woman more than a man. And that's what I said. You got to just roll up your sleeve and dust off your feet and try to be fabulous wherever you go. And spend time at the salon getting your nails done. And just be inspired by this. So I have a subscription every month from Vogue, because sometimes when you're feeling down and you have no inspiration, you just look at these beautiful magazines. It just inspires you to create something beautiful. Because sometimes you wish that you're one of these women, as if they're so flawless, they just live their life waking up like this one. But you know that they didn't wake up like that. They put the effort and the energy. Do you really think that they woke up like this? No. This is why you see women, the models or the celebrities on this front magazine, they did not wake up like that. They have to put the effort. They have to put the investment in themselves. Because some people think that it's selfish to put investment on myself. Actually, it's the other way around. When you put investment in yourself, you will know that no matter what happens in your life, you can still slay the dragon and wake up one day just says, I can just walk away from all of this nonsense, because this is not where I'm supposed to be. This is not the life that I want for me and my children. You got to be strategic though. You got to learn how to be strategic. You cannot just impulsively leave everything with no plans, with no strategy. You have to be strategic. Use your brain as a woman. And of course, last but not least, be wise. Be wise as a woman. When you make a move, very, very deliberate. Hastiness is going to lead you to things that you're going to regret. But with determination, a plan, then you know exactly. This is like a chess piece, okay? You've got to know how to strategically play your cards. You got to play your cards right. Because we know that we're not dealing with just a man here. We're dealing with a spiritual battle also. Because most people that are narcissistic are prideful, they are satanic, they are of the devil. They're controlling, manipulative, they are liars. They don't want to take accountability. They're prideful. And that's exactly what we're dealing with. So this is just what beyond what meets the eye. This is more than just a man we're dealing with. This is a spiritual battle for us ladies. And as I said, Satan has been attacking women in the old days, and he has not done with us yet. Just look around you. What is going on right now? He wants us to fight against each other as women against women, women and men. You know, everything that's going on right now is about spiritual warfare. But don't worry, because God said, I will going to have retribution. I will expose the darkness. Eventually, whatever is hidden in the dark, it will be exposed and manifested in the light. So people can hide all they want. They can pretend to be charming and deceitful, but God ultimately is going to give you the spirit of discernment. And when that happens, you must be aware, and you must not allow other people to say you're just paranoid or what you're feeling is not true. You got to learn how to have discernment, ladies. That's our superpower. An empath usually can detect a lie, even though the person seems nice and amicable. But when you know that something is not right with that man, you better make sure to trust your instincts and to pray about it. So because I've felt this the long time, something has changed. Okay, when something has changed in a person's demeanor, the way that he used to be, then there is something has changed. You should not ignore the red flags from then on. Maybe the man that you married was someone that is, you know, very good at the beginning, and somehow something changed. You should take note of that. You should take a mental note of that, and do not be stupid enough to say, well, maybe he is going to change for the better and for the worse. You have to really know that you're not dealing with someone that is a sinister, because as I said, men can flip the switch anytime they want. Men usually are fickle-minded. Okay, how many people usually live in an affair, a double life, until they got caught? And of course they're gonna say, I don't know what you're talking about. They're gonna still live in denial. We've seen it so many times that when people usually living with affairs, they usually pretend like nothing, I'm not doing anything wrong with you, until they got caught and you call them out in it. That's why, ladies, do not wait that to happen to you. You have to always look after yourself. You always have to have a plan. You always have to think about the strategy of how you can do this painlessly, with no thing that you have to really struggle eventually. Yes, you're going to be heartbroken. You're going to cry. You're going to have all of this, whatever that we're going to go through after the breakup and the heartbreak. But at the end of the day, you have to play your cards. That's all I can say. So play well. Curate your life like a Vogue magazine. And just look here and see what doesn't suit you, and toss out what's not good. Because at the end of the day, your life is like a magazine. You are the editor-in-chief. Well, God, of course, is the creator. You're the co-creator. However, think of your life as the editor-in-chief. Okay, when you create a magazine, the editor-in-chief is going to say, what is this going to be? What is the Vogue magazine this year? What is the theme of this magazine? So something in your life, it doesn't suit you the best, if it doesn't really make you happy, it's going to bring you down or make you depressed or make you life miserable, then you got to detach yourself slowly but surely, like a surgeon, because it's exactly what happens. We must not allow toxic, narcissistic men to always bring us down, always to drag us down, because guess what? I don't know when they're going to wake up. I don't know when they're going to change. You might be waiting forever, and you're just going to waste your time, and you're just going to be hoping and praying. And even though you prayed enough and you asked God for help and intervention, but God cannot violate the free will. Okay, yes, we can pray for a man. Yes, we can pray for our husbands to change, but God cannot violate his will of free will. He gives us free choice. So if a man doesn't want to change, it doesn't matter how many times you beg him to change and you say, please change for me, they're not going to change. You cannot change a man, because people that are unwilling to admit and is still in denial, no matter how many times you tell them you have to fess up, you have to change your ways, they're never going to do it, because they're in denial. That's why Jesus said the truth will set you free. Until the people in your life is going to say, I have an issue, I have a problem, I'm actually have all this trauma in my childhood, my wounds that I have not dealt with, until then, you cannot change a man. That's why God said, yes, you can still pray for these people. But if a person is not willing to change, I can't do anything for them, because God cannot violate the rule of free will. Everybody is given a free will. You can choose however you want to live, but there are consequences to that behavior. You can choose to change or not. Even though you want to change, there are still consequences to the behavior that you have done in the past. It is the nature of sowing and reaping. So in the same way with us ladies, we are waiting for our husbands or our man to change and to show up in our lives and to take up the responsibility of being a man. But what if they never do? What are you going to do then? Live life miserably and live life waiting for them to change instead of you changing yourself for the best. So this channel is about self-development. It's about improving your relationship with God, because that's exactly who you should hang on to. He is your strength. He is your rock. When things are not going right in your life, He is your fortress. God is the one who's going to carry you through it. That's why Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And when you live with Jesus, no matter what the storm may come in your life, you can bear it. You can go through the storm, because Jesus said, I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. I will be here through the storm. If you just don't fix on the storm, you're going to just ride through it, because this too shall pass. All right, I'll see you on my next video.